Hey everybody, it looks like we are live. Can you just let me know in the chat if you can hear me and you can see my screen? Okay, Jose says hi, yes. Hosam says yes. Mighty Joe says yes. Cool. Glad to hear it. My the chat is a little bit delayed, by the way, so it takes me a few seconds to see that what you put in the chat. So I'm going to just wait for a few minutes just to give everybody a chance to get on. But while we're waiting, why don't you let me know where you're all calling in from? Let's see who's represented here. Jason from Oregon, Puma from Sacramento, Tube Dude from upstate New York, Sir Vincent from Knoxville, Josh from Tucson, Stephen from Chicago, Orland from Boston, Ashley from Australian but based in Orlando. You're close to me. John from Vermont, Tina from Philly, PL Notify from Pittsburgh, Jose from Waterford, Michigan, Laranda from Missouri. Or is that Ermi from Alberta, Kaiza from Bangladesh, VJ from Montreal, Leah also from Montreal, Hossam from Montreal, a lot of Montreal people today, Denny from Pittsburgh, Donna from DT, Colorado, Slingshot, Palm Beach, Garfield, Jamaica, Get At You from Kitchener, Canada, Jorge from Miami, RJ from Chicago. Very cool. So we got folks from all over the US and Canada here, and one from Bangladesh. So very cool. Glad to have you guys on here. I guess I'll go ahead and get started now. Basically what we're going to do in this presentation is I'm going to show you how to turn your Excel skills into a high-paying freelance consulting business that gets new clients consistently. So the way this presentation is going to work is first I'm just going to go over a little bit about what this business model is and why it works. I'm going to tell you how it came about, and then I'm going to go in detail on my client getting system, the way that I get clients consistently. I'm going to tell you how you can make this work even in a down economy and even better in a down economy. And I'm going to show you how you can get clients even if you've never had clients before, how you can get some easy credibility. So, just so you understand why this business model works, I want to ask you a couple of questions. First of all, how many businesses use Excel? Let me know in the chat, how many businesses use Excel? I gotta wait a second because there's a bit of a lag between me asking a question and getting the answers. Jose says all, Orland says all, John says 99%, Adnan says almost everyone, VJ says almost all of them I know. Yeah, exactly. Just about every business uses Excel. I mean, if you looked hard enough, you could probably find some exception, like some business that doesn't use Excel. But for the most part, all businesses use Excel. Now, how good is the average person working at those companies at Excel? How good is the average person that's working in an office at Excel? Josh says 99.9999829%. Very specific. Jose says below average. Slingshot says less than 11%. Loranda says basic knowledge to none. Ross says pretty terrible. Nathan says not very good. Leah says acceptable, question mark. Yeah, exactly. The average person is not very good at Excel. So since all businesses just about use Excel and the average person is not so good at Excel, let me ask you another question. How many people could benefit from someone like you that could help them with Excel? How many of these people that are not that good at Excel and yet rely on it could benefit from someone like you who could help them? Orland says all. Leah says lots, sir. Vincent says the entire planet, just about. Loranda says all. Jose says 100%. Adebayo says immensely. VJ says at least a handful. Nathan says good, but can't teach an old dog new tricks. Sure. So, yeah, basically a lot of people, right? Probably tens of millions, maybe hundreds of millions of people could benefit from what you have to offer. Now, in your best guess, how many people are actually going out and offering help with Excel? And I'm not talking about people who are kind of sitting on Upwork and twiddling their thumbs hoping that clients come to them. I'm talking about how many people are actually going out to these people in the businesses and offering to help with Excel. Adebayo says not so common. I hope I'm pronouncing your name right, by the way. LaRonda says not many. Slingshot, none. Orland, not many. Ross doesn't seem like a lot. Yeah, exactly. So this is the situation the way I see it. That you have this massive market of people who could use help with Excel, and then you have this very small number of people who are actually offering help with Excel. So if you were a little skeptical getting onto this presentation, you were thinking, why is this guy going to share his secrets? Like, why is he going to create competition for himself? Well, that's the reason that I'm just not worried about competition. Being in this market is being like an ant in a cherry pie. There is more business than I could ever take on in 1,000 lifetimes. So I'm just not worried about sharing it. Now, just in case you had any doubts that this is real, here's a stack of some of the paper checks I've gotten from clients. Here's one page screenshot from my PayPal. And I'm not trying to like impress you and say, oh, look at all the money I have. I'm just showing you this is a real business, that gets real results. Now, I should mention that your results will vary from mine, right? Every business is its own case. Nobody is exactly the same. So I can't promise you that if you do what I'm going to show you in this presentation, that you're going to get exactly the same results as me. But what I will promise you is that I'm going to show you the exact system that I am using to get these results. And so what you decide to do with that information is up to you. Okay, so just really quick, just a tiny little bit about me. My name is Chris Shoup. I'm the founder of Advanced Excel Optimization. That's the name of my Excel freelance consulting company. I recently rebranded as the Excel Guy. I think it sounds a little bit more catchy. And I've been doing this business for 7 years. And this is a picture of me working hard in Rio de Janeiro, Brazil. And so let me tell you just real quick how this whole thing came about. I used to work at a normal corporate desk job. I was a data analyst at various companies, and everywhere I worked, I became the go-to Excel guy in the office. That if somebody had an issue with Excel or they wanted something built in Excel, they would go to me because they knew me as the Excel guy. And that's kind of where I got my name from, my new business name. And so one day I had the idea that maybe I could do the same kind of work as a freelancer, that I could actually have my own business and get clients to pay me to do the same kind of work that really I was already doing. The idea appealed to me because I was tired of working for somebody else. I was tired of having a ceiling on my income. I was tired of having to go into the office and sit in traffic every day. And I was tired of having no control over my schedule. So I decided to do it. I started gathering up a portfolio. I put up a website, and this is a screenshot from my original website here. And I had some business cards printed. And then, crickets. I went an entire year without getting a single client. Now, when I did get my first client, I was super excited. I did the project, I sent it to the client for approval, and then they ghosted me. Never answered my emails, and I didn't get paid a cent. Pretty heartbreaking. When you're hoping to get business for an entire year and finally you get a client and you don't get paid. So what I did is I went back and I completely restructured my delivery process, which worked because I got paid by every client after that, thankfully. But at that point, still I was only getting clients sporadically. I had no control, no consistent method for getting new clients. I realized that what I was missing was marketing. So I made the decision that I would dedicate myself to learning marketing. I found a course in digital marketing, just kind of general digital marketing that looked promising. And it wasn't a course specifically in marketing for this kind of business because that kind of thing didn't exist. But I found a course that looked promising. I pulled out my credit card, I made the purchase, and I dived in. A year and a half later, I was getting pretty good. And I figured out a clever way to apply my new marketing skills specifically to my Excel business. And it worked. After 6 years, I had finally found a system that brought in clients consistently and that I could control. And that system is exactly what I'm going to show you. So let me show you who this presentation is for, so you know if you're in the right place here. This is for people who with an intermediate to advanced level of Excel, right? This is for people who already know Excel somewhat. This is, you don't have to be a super Excel genius, you don't have to be a Microsoft certified MVP, but at least an intermediate level of Excel. This is for people who want to turn their skills into a full-time business that gives you more money, more freedom, and more flexibility. Or even if you like your job, it still works great for you if you want a side gig just for a little extra income. You only want to take on a few clients a month while working at your normal job. Now let me tell you who this presentation is not for. This is not for Excel beginners. Okay, if you don't know Excel or you have a very low level of knowledge of Excel, then this presentation isn't really for you. And I don't want to discourage you, because I'm a big believer that anything that you don't know now, you can learn. So, I mean, if you go into Google and type in Excel tutorial, there will be a million resources that'll come up where you can learn. And I definitely recommend it, because it's an amazing skill to have, whether you turn it into a business or even just in the career field. But what I mean to say here is that I'm assuming that everyone on this presentation already has Excel skills, and so I'm going to show you how you can turn those skills into a business. I'm not going to show you how to do Excel. This is not for people who are looking for a get-rich-quick scheme. This, you can make good money doing this, but it's still work, right? You still have to do the projects for the client. So it's not something where you just like pull out money like from an ATM. It doesn't work that way. And then it's also not for people who are unwilling to invest. I get that people who work in a job for a long time, I was this way too. We get into that mindset where every hour of work that we put in, we want to get paid for, right? If I do some work, I'm going to get paid for that at a specific rate. So we're not, it's hard to be willing to invest your time, and it's hard to be willing to invest money. That with any business, basically, you have to invest your time. You have to put in some work building the system before you ever get a client, before you ever get a payment, right? So you have to be okay with the fact that you're going to invest some time before you ever get paid. And the same thing with money. The method that I'm going to show you uses paid advertising. So you're going to have to be able to pay in order to make money. And I'm going to show you the numbers work really well, that you invest a little bit of money and you take a lot of money in return. But if that's just distasteful for you and you can't stomach the idea of paying without getting money exactly right away, then this just isn't going to work for you. Now, here's what we're going to cover. I'm going to show you the exact system I use to get high-paying clients consistently. I'm going to show you how to thrive in a bad economy, and notice I put bad in quotes there, because just because it's a bad economy in general doesn't mean it has to be bad for you. And 3, I'm going to show you how to get clients to trust you, even if you've never done an Excel project before as a freelancer. Okay, so let's jump in. The first thing is the process. This is my client getting process. I'm going to go over kind of the high-level overview first, and then I'm going to go into a little bit more detail on each of the steps. So it works like this. The first part of the process is an ad. Now, I do ads on YouTube. I target people who are looking for help with Excel. They're looking for how to build a dashboard in Excel, or how to do a VLOOKUP, or how to do conditional formatting, something like that. And I put an ad in front of them where I say something like, hey, are you trying to figure out how to do something in Excel? Wouldn't it be easier if you just hire someone to do it for you? Well, it so happens that that's exactly what I do. So click on my ad, give me your information, and then I can do your project for you. And so if they click on the ad, then they'll go to a landing page. Now, a landing page is not a normal website. If you think about a normal website, you have like a banner across the top that has a home page and an about me and a contact page, and it has all these different things you can click. And then maybe it has a sidebar that has a bunch of other different things you can click, and maybe there's a blog on the site, etc. There's a whole bunch of different things. A landing page is just a really simple website that is completely focused on getting the user to do one thing. And in my case, it's focused on getting the user to either give me a call at my phone number, or fill in a contact form giving me his information so that I can call back and talk about working with him. So if they fill out the form, then they go to a thank you page. A thank you page is really simple. It just says, hey, I got your information. I'll be reaching out soon. And then I also send an automatic email. I have a system that will send out an email automatically as soon as they fill out the contact form so that they have my details for later. And it looks professional. And then after that, I will take their information and I will give them a call, talk about their project, talk about how I can help them. And if they're interested in working with me, I will send them over a quote. They'll sign it, give it back to me. I do the project and I get paid. So this is it. This is the high level of the whole process. Is this making sense so far? Let me know in the comments. Is this making sense? And Shrubit says, will I be able to ask questions about this later? Yes, I will take questions at the end. Good question. I should have mentioned that earlier. Slingshot says yes. Orland says yes. John says yes. Loranda says thumbs up. Nathan says yes. Nirmala says yes. Okay, wonderful. Now I'm going to kind of get into a little bit more of what each of these steps entails. The first part of the process is the ad. Now the ad has three main components. There's more to it than this, but I'm going to give you the three main components that are the most important. Number one is the targeting. Targeting means who is seeing my ad? Who is my ad being shown to? And so for me, the targeting, I target it towards people who are looking for help with something in Excel, who are looking for information in something about something in Excel. And a lot of people go to YouTube because the tutorials on YouTube are really good, right? So a lot of people are searching that on YouTube. And YouTube is owned by Google, and it uses the same ad platform as Google. So the targeting options are really precise. They're really good. So I can target exactly the people who are looking for help with Excel. The second part is the copy. Copy is a marketing term. It just means what you say. In this case, what am I actually saying in the ad? And in the copy, I call out the person based on the targeting that I've already set. I say, hey, are you looking for something? Are you looking for how to do something in Excel? And then I tell them why my solution is better. I say, well, I could just do it for you. You could hire me to do it for you. I could save you all this time, etc., etc., etc. And then the last element of the ad is my phone number. I give them the option to click on the landing page, or I just give them my phone number so they can call me. I actually prefer if they call me rather than filling out my opt-in form. Because if they call me, for one thing, if you look at this diagram up here, I'm just skipping from step 1 to the second to last step, right? I'm skipping most of the sales process here. So I like that. I don't have to go through all this. Also, when they call me is when that their interest is at its peak, when they understand how I can benefit them, when they understand what it is that I offer. So if they call me then they're already interested. But if I call them, say they fill out my landing page and my contact form, I get their details and I call them the next day, well, maybe they've forgotten that why they were interested in the first place. Or maybe they found the answer already themselves. Or maybe they found somebody else to do the job. Maybe they found someone else in the office that could do it, right? So the faster I can talk to the person, the more likely I am to get them as a client. So I really prefer they call me, which is why I add my phone number in the ad. Okay, so next part is the landing page. The landing page, again, has three main elements here. And by the way, this is a little more complicated than I'm going into here, but if I told you everything, I'd be here all night. So I'm going over kind of just the most important parts here. The landing page, the first element is the copy and or video. Now again, copy is just the things that you say. It's the words that you use. So the way that I have it laid out is I have basically a sales letter. It's some words saying why I could benefit them, how I could help them. And then I have a video, which is a demonstration of some of the projects that I've done in the past. I have a video with me just screen sharing, going through some of the more impressive projects that I've done for past clients, and I say, here's what this thing does, and I demonstrate it for them. There's two reasons that I like to do this. One is because it gives me credibility, right? It shows that I'm competent. It shows that I can help them. And two is because it expands their horizons. Like we talked about earlier, right? The average person is not that good at Excel. Chances are they don't know the half of what you can do in Excel. So when they watch my video, it gives them new ideas. They say, oh, that's what's possible. I wonder what I could do with this in my business, right? And so they get new ideas, and the idea of their project in their mind expands, right? Which means the project that I get paid for expands. I put in more hours, I get paid more. So that's why I do the portfolio video. Next element is my phone number. I give them my phone number again because, like I said, I would prefer that they call me rather than me call them. And then the last element is the contact form. This is where I ask them to give me their information, if they choose not to call me, right? So I ask for their name, their email address, their phone number, and just a short description about their project rather. So those are the three elements for the landing page. Next part is the thank you page and the email. I group those together because they say basically the same thing. And I got three components to these as well. Number one is just confirm. Just say, hey, I got your details. It worked. Your information went through. Second is set expectations. I say, I'll be reaching out to you within the next 24 to 48 hours, and we'll have a chat to see if and how I can help you. And I say things like, we'll have a chat. I use very informal language because I want to seem as non-threatening as possible. I don't want the person to think that there's going to be any kind of obligation or any kind of aggressive sales pitch, that kind of thing. So I use very informal language so the person is comfortable to pick up the phone when I call. And then the last thing on the thank you page and email is, anybody want to guess? No, I won't make you wait this time. The last thing is yet again my phone number. I say, if you're feeling impatient, then feel free to give me a call at this number. And I add my phone number because, again, I would prefer that they call me while their interest is at its peak rather than me having to call them later. And then for the email, I send an automatic email that says the same thing. It confirms, sets expectations, and gives the phone number. And I do that for two reasons. Number one is because it just looks professional. I look like a real business rather than just some fly-by-night guy working out of his grandma's basement or something, right? The fact that I have an automatic email just looks good. And then the second reason is that means that the person has my contact details in the future. So if the person wants to work with me in the future, and maybe they don't work with me today, but they want to work with me in the future, well, they have my details to come back to. In fact, this happened just a week or two ago, that somebody who I had talked to like 6 months ago that had filled out my opt-in form, they didn't decide to work with me, but just a few weeks ago, they reached out to me replying to that automatic email that I had sent. Right? If I hadn't sent that email, they probably would have lost my information, and I probably never would have gotten that client. Okay, so last element here is the call. The call, we're going to do a few things here. First, we're going to gather requirements. We're going to talk to the client and figure out what it is that they want. And there are kind of two levels to this. There's what does the client say that they want, and what is the client's goal? Like, what is the reason behind the thing that they say they want? Because you, as the Excel expert, probably can offer a better solution, at least in some cases, than your clients even know about, right? Than your clients even know is possible in many cases. So you gather requirements, and once you have a pretty good idea of what the client wants, you make a proposal. You say, okay, based on what you've told me, here's what I would do. And you kind of give them a brief overview of how you would complete the project. If they agree to that, if they say, okay, that sounds good, then you give them a cost and time estimate. So I would say, so here's how it works. I charge by the hour. I charge $100 per hour. And I'm estimating that your project is going to take me from 8 to 12 hours, somewhere in that range. And I give some kind of softening statement too. I say something like, I'll communicate with you the whole time, right? I'll tell you how many hours I'm logging, just so there are no surprises. And I say, does that sound good? And if they are interested in moving forward, then I send them a quote, which is also a contract. And then they sign it, they send it back to me, and I get started on the project. And by the way, I hope you realize here too that there's nothing salesy about this. I created this process being someone who did not like sales. I wanted to make this as unsalesy as I possibly could. So I'm just asking them what they want, saying, this is what I can do for you, take it or leave it, right? And it actually works really well. So I'm pretty happy with that. So that's the basic process. Is everybody following me so far? Like, is this making sense? Let me know in the chat. Donna says yes. Orlin says yes. Donald says yes. Anita says yes. Nathan says 100%. Rhonda says yes. Jose says yes. Wonderful. Okay, so now I'm going to go into what the numbers look like. So if you guys are all a bunch of data nerds like me, you're going to like this part. So this diagram that you see in front of you is a marketing funnel. This is a kind of a representation of the process that clients go through on the way to becoming clients. So the first part of the funnel is clicks. These are the people who click on my ad. And then second part are leads. So some of those people who click on my ad, not all, but some, are going to either give me a call or are going to fill out my opt-in form and give me their information, at which point they become a lead. And then some of those people who gave me their information are actually going to sign on the dotted line and become clients. So let me show you what the numbers look like going through this process. Now, of the people who click on my ad, about 5% become leads. That is, 5% either give me a call or fill out my opt-in form. That's the contact form. And I know that sounds kind of low, but I'm going to show you why the numbers actually work out really well. The fact is that this business is pretty unique. It's pretty unusual, so it gets a lot of curiosity. So a lot of people who click, most people who click, are just curious about what this is about, right? They just want to know a little bit more about it. They're not really serious. They're not ready to become a client, but they want to know what it's about, and maybe they just kind of want to take down my information just in case they find something in the future. Like they think it's a cool idea, so they want to keep my information for the future. So 95% of the people are not really ready to move forward, and that's okay. 5% actually works out just fine. 5% of those people become leads. And then of the people who become leads, about 50% become clients. So if somebody gives me a call or somebody gives me their information, about 50% of the time, that person will end up actually signing with me and becoming a client. Now, this number is a lot higher because if somebody has reached this stage, if they have become a lead, then chances are they're pretty serious about getting their project done, right? If somebody decides to call some stranger from the internet or give their email address and phone number to some stranger on the internet, chances are they're pretty serious. So I get a pretty high percentage of those people that end up becoming clients. Okay, now I told you this is based on paid advertising, right? So these clicks are not free. I'm having to pay a price for every click that I get. That price, on average, is about $1. So I pay $1 to get one person to click on my ad. So let me ask all you math geniuses, if I pay $1 to get one person to click on my ad, 5% of those people who click end up becoming leads. How much am I paying on average per lead? How much am I having to pay for advertising in order to get one lead? This must be a tricky one. I'm not seeing any answers here. Elena says 50. Not quite. Leah says 20. Nathan says 20. Okay. Very nice. Leah and Nathan got it. So $20, right? If 5% of them are becoming leads, I have to pay $1 divided by 0.05 is $20 per lead. And then, so let me ask you a little bit easier question. If I pay $20 to get one lead, 50% of leads become clients. How much am I paying per client? I won't make you wait for that one. It's $40. I spent $40 on advertising to get one client. Now, here's the exciting part. A client, to me, on average, is worth $1,500. So I pay $40 and I get $1,500. I put $40 into ads and I get $1,500 in client payments. And I can multiply this. If I want to get more clients, I just put more money into ads. So if I put $80 in, I get $3,000. If I put $400 in, then I get $15,000. Right? Can you guys see how powerful this is? And I should mention, this isn't just free money. Again, this isn't just I put in $40 and I take out $1,500. I actually have to do the project in between, right? So there is some work involved. But being able to pay only $40 and get $1,500 out and have complete control of the process is pretty cool. And just in case you don't believe me, here's a screenshot from my Google Ads campaign. Again, YouTube is owned by Google and they use the same ad platform. So this is my advanced Excel optimization video ad where I paid just about $400, a little bit less than $400. I got 374 clicks. Average CPC, that stands for cost per click, is 99 cents. I got 13 conversions. A conversion in this case means somebody who filled out my opt-in form. And so a conversion is a lead here. And my cost per conversion, that is cost per person who filled out my contact form, is $28.60, which is a little higher than I told you. But remember, I'm also getting people calling me, and this is not counting people who call me. I actually prefer if people call me. So what I find in practice is that it's actually about 50-50, that half of the people call me, half of the people fill out the contact form. So really, I got more like 26 leads here, including the calls, and the average cost of conversion was about $14. So those are the real numbers. Now, to me, this is fun. This is fun because you have complete control over how many new leads you get. You push a button to turn it on or off at any time, right? And you can change the amount that you're putting in. If you want more leads, then you just put in more money. If you're overwhelmed with leads and you want fewer, you can turn it off or you can put in less money. You can send $40 to YouTube and get a $1,500 client, right? I think this is awesome. So let me ask you guys, how many clients would you take per month, right? If you had this system set up and working, how many clients would you take per month? Let me know in the chat. And I'm seeing some questions, by the way. I'll get to questions at the end, I promise. Jose says 4, Leah says 3, Nathan 2 to 3, Brian 3, Nirmana 10, Donald 4 to 5, Laurent 4 to 6, Kalechi 3, Solani 10 to 15. Yeah, so basically what I'm seeing is that there's a wide range, right? Some people prefer to have just a few clients and some people want to have a lot of clients, and either one is okay. Right? The way this system works is you have control over this. You can choose how many you want. So if you just want a side gig and make a little bit of extra income, then maybe you just get a few leads. But if you want to make this a full-time business, or you just want to make a ton of money and be working 60 hours a week and make a lot of money, you can do that too, or anything in between. You have full control, and if you start to get overwhelmed, you can turn the leads down, or if you're not making enough, or if you're not getting enough, you can turn it up. I think it's pretty cool. So imagine that you get to choose how many new leads you want per week or per month, and you just set your ads to exactly that level. Now you have an automated lead machine bringing you new clients on autopilot whenever you decide to turn it on. Okay, so let's go ahead and get into part 2 here. How to thrive as an Excel freelancer in a bad economy. And again, I put bad in quotes there. just because economy is bad in general, or it's bad for some people, doesn't mean that it has to be bad for you. In every economic downturn, there are always people who thrive. There are always businesses, there are always industries who thrive. So let me show you, in my estimation, this is what the current economic situation looks like. And I'm normally an optimistic person, but this is the way I see it. Businesses are shutting down. People are losing their jobs. There's the central banks are printing unprecedented amounts of money right now. I'd like to think that there's some kind of economic miracle that's going to come save us from all this, but I just don't see it. And I really hope that I'm wrong, but the way I see it is that this is not going to end anytime soon. So the solution for us, particularly individually, is to be someone who saves businesses money. Right? In a time when businesses are losing money, when businesses are having to tighten their budgets, you be someone who actually saves them money. And frame yourself that way in your marketing. This is super important. You have to be able to communicate it effectively to your prospective clients. So put yourself in a typical business owner's shoes for a minute. You're making less money. Maybe you had to shut down your business completely for a while. Maybe you had to lay off a few employees. And budgets are really tight. But you still have to keep track of your data. Your business still relies on Excel. Basically, the business owner has two options. Either pay employees to do the data work, and the more inefficient the spreadsheets, the more employee time it takes, or hire an Excel freelancer to clean up the processes and save a ton of time and money. So basically, these are the two options that are facing the business owner. They can pay an employee $50,000 a year or more, right? Because somebody who knows Excel, their salary isn't going to be cheap. Or they can pay you $1,500 one time. With the employee, they have to pay benefits, right? They have to pay for health insurance, and they have to pay for paid time off, etc. With a freelancer, they don't have to pay benefits. For the employee, they have to worry about labor laws. They have to worry about getting sued for wrongful termination or discrimination or something like that. With the freelancer, there's no labor laws. With the employee, they have to hire them permanently, right? And to get rid of an employee is difficult, it's uncomfortable, and it's a legal liability. Whereas the freelancer, they can just hire as needed. The same way, they have to pay the employee full time. They have to pay the employee to be in the office for 40 hours a week, even if there's not 40 hours worth of work to do. And with the freelancer, again, they can pay as needed. So if you think about a business owner who's kind of strapped for cash, that the budgets are getting tighter, doesn't have as much money, somebody in that situation, which one of these are they going to go for? Which one is going to be more attractive? Definitely the freelancer, right? And you could put, if you want to be nitpicky, you could put contractor in another column in the middle here, right? But even with the contractor, they still have to pay a pretty high salary. They still have to hire them full time. Right, even if it's only for 6 months, they still have to pay them full-time wages. So there's, the freelancer is definitely the best option in that situation. So if you, as an Excel freelancer, can communicate this to the client, can communicate to that you can save them all of this, right, all of this on the employee side, then they will be overjoyed to pay you that $1,500 or whatever it takes to complete their project. Okay, quick question for you guys, just for my own knowledge here. What do you guys do for work? I'm curious. Any data analysts like me here, or maybe accountants, or programmers, maybe IT consultants? Oh, Ross says they don't need physical office space for you. Good point. I never even thought of that. Let's see, I see accounting, mechanical engineer, production planning analyst, quality nurse, fiscal technician, programmer, demographer. That's interesting. I never got a demographer before. Marketing analyst, masters in civil engineering, financial analyst, accountant, consultant, teacher, I guess, Excel trainer. Excel trainer already, very cool. Very cool, guys. So that's kind of what I was expecting. There's a big range of different different job types that this applies to, and everybody on this presentation has a little bit of a different expertise. You're coming from a different place, and so you're going to have a little bit of a niche that you can be especially good at. And Edgar Cruz says data analyst. Cool, so I'm not the only one. Very cool. So let me get into part 3 here. How to get clients to trust you even if you've never done an Excel project before as a freelancer. So how many of you guys have thought of this? You're kind of uneasy. You think, why would anybody trust me with their Excel project when I've never done this before? I've never had a client before. Why would anybody trust me? Is it anybody on this presentation feeling that way? Coda says yes. Orland says I have. Daniel says yes. Kalechi sure. Adnan yep. Okay, well, I promise you, after this section, you're gonna feel a little bit better than this, better about this. I'm gonna show you how you can create some credibility even if you've never done a project before. So when I started doing this, I was super nervous. I didn't have any experience. I wasn't sure if my Excel skills were good enough. I was afraid I would disappoint my clients. And just generally, I didn't have much self-confidence. But I also knew that you can never succeed if you don't try. And I didn't really want to spend my whole life in a cubicle. So I forced myself to face my fears and do it anyway. I was far from perfect, and my Excel skills were nowhere near as good as they are today. But I jumped in anyway, and I learned along the way. And now with the benefit of 7 years experience and a whole lot more self-confidence, I can tell you some easy ways to get clients to trust you, even if you're brand new, and why most of your fears are probably unfounded. So here are some easy ways to develop credibility that I've found to be extremely effective. Number 1, and this is by far the most important, number 1 is just be able to help. If you are able to help the person that you're talking to, then it will show through, right? When you're talking to a client on a call, or you're talking to a prospect, if you can recognize what the person wants and you can suggest something to help them get what they want, then you are able to help. And that's going to be very clear, right? And if your Excel is a higher level than the people you're talking to, then chances are you're going to be able to help. So number 1, by far the most important, is just be able to help. Number 2, and the second most important, is to focus on the prospect. You don't have to talk about yourself. Like, I hope this is kind of a relief for some of you guys. There's no reason that you should really have to talk about yourself at all. Talk about the prospect. Talk about the prospect's problems. Talk about what the prospect wants. Talk about how you can help the prospect. Talk about what you can do for the prospect, right? Talk about your prospect's goals, etc., etc., etc. This is all about the prospect, none about you. Don't talk about yourself. Don't talk about the projects you've done in the past. Don't talk about your previous jobs. Don't talk about your college degree. Don't talk about your certifications. Really, there's no reason that you should ever talk about any of that stuff when you're talking to prospects. I like to think about this like if you go to a mechanic. Say your car's overheating and you go to a mechanic. The mechanic takes a look at your car. Maybe he says, okay, you have a hole in your radiator. It's going to cost $500 to replace, and I can get it done by the end of the day. Are you going to turn around to that mechanic and say, well, okay, Mr. Mechanic, but where did you go to mechanic school? Do you have a mechanic certification? What kind of radiators have you worked on in the past? Right? You're just not going to say any of those things. You're not going to care, right? You care about what the mechanic can do for you, if the mechanic can solve your problem. And you as an Excel freelancer are in the same position of the mechanic. The person cares about 3 things. They care about what you can do for them, they care about what's the price going to be, and they care about how fast can you get it done. Those are the only things that the vast majority of clients care about. So if you focus on the things that they care about, they're not going to ask you about the things that they don't care about, which is all this stuff about your projects or your college degree or whatever. So in my experience, just these first 2 are good enough for 95% of people. 95% of the prospects I talk to will never ask me anything about my experience or about my diplomas or anything like that. If I can show that I'm able to help and I can focus on the prospect, 95% of people will be satisfied with that. Now, just in case any of you are worried about that other 5%, I'm going to give you a few other things that you can do that will help you. And if this gives you peace of mind, by the way, then it's worthwhile, right? If you ask almost anybody who's been in business, anybody who's been successful or failed in business for that matter, they will all tell you just about that the biggest obstacles that they had to overcome to become successful were obstacles that existed within their own mind, right? Their fear of failure, their lack of self-confidence. So anything that you can do that will put your mind at ease a little bit, that will give you some peace of mind, in my opinion, is absolutely worth doing. So number 3 is to have a portfolio, or better yet, a video of your portfolio. I told you before, I make a video of my portfolio and put it on my landing page. And I like to do the video because I actually, when I started doing this business, I just kind of gave some download links and said, here's a file that you can download. And so I didn't really think that through very well from a marketing perspective, because if you think about it, the client doesn't know me from Adam and sees this link, and they click on the link, and then they download a file that they don't know anything about. And then they get that cute little box at the top that says, do you want to enable macros that can destroy your computer? Right? So they go through all this. They'd have to go through all this process. Most people are just not willing to do that. It's much, much easier for them just to click play on a button and me to demonstrate it for them. And so having that portfolio gives you a lot of credibility because it shows, hey, here's what I can do. Here's the competence that I have. And then, like I said before, it also has the added benefit of expanding the client's horizons, that they kind of have some other ideas that they will pay you to implement. And you might have noticed also that if you follow my process that I talked about in the first part, if you follow that process, you will have built up a lot of credibility before you ever even get on the phone with a prospect. Right? If you think about it, you ran an ad. You have a video ad that's playing on YouTube. That gives you credibility by itself. And then if they clicked on the ad, they saw your website. You have a website. That gives you credibility. If they filled out your contact form, they would have gotten an automatic email from you. That builds credibility. They saw your portfolio video. That builds you credibility. So by the time you're even talking to the person, you've already built a lot of credibility. The person basically already trusts you at this point. So let me give you, just to overkill here, I'll give you one more way that you can create easy credibility, just in case you need even more peace of mind here. And that is to have a list of past clients. And I hear you guys all the way through the internet saying, well, I don't have any past clients. Well, if you think about it, you probably do. I mean, if you've ever built a spreadsheet for the company that you work for, then that company, for all intents and purposes, is a client. If you've built a spreadsheet for a company that you used to work for, that company is a client. Any companies that you've built spreadsheets for in the past, those are clients. If you've built a spreadsheet for your church, you could list that as a client, or a volunteer organization, or your golf group, whatever it is, you can list those all as past clients. So if it makes you feel better, you can list all of those past clients, and then in the very unlikely scenario that somebody actually asks you about your past clients, now you have a list ready. And by the way, in 7 years of doing this, nobody has ever asked me that. So it's not really necessary, but again, if it helps your peace of mind, then it's worthwhile. So let me ask you guys, does this make you feel a little bit better? Like, does this dispel some of your self-doubt about people being willing to hire you? Donna says sure. Jose says yes. Edgar says yes. Cramdile, I'm sorry, I don't know how to say your name, says yes. Orland says yes. Very good. Glad to hear it. Okay, so here's what we've gone over so far. That I showed you the exact system that I use to get new high-paying clients consistently. I showed you how to thrive in a bad economy or an economic downturn, because, again, it doesn't have to be bad for you. And I showed you how to get clients to trust you, even if you've never done an Excel project before as a freelancer. So let me ask you guys, so far, has this been helpful, Does this make sense? Office coach says yes. Ross says makes sense. Lorana says yes. Nathan says very helpful. Orlando says very much. Jose says yes. Very cool, very cool. So let me ask you a question. If you found this helpful, I have a very unique program that I want to tell you a little bit about, that's going to go over all of the details about how you can fill this out. Right? It's a program where I'm going to actually walk you through every step of the process that I just showed you, and actually give you every little detail of how to do it. Is that something that I could take a couple of minutes to tell you about? Would that be all right if I took a couple minutes? Orland says yes. Jose says yes. Nirmala says yes. Elena says please. Okay, wonderful. So this is a program called Excel Business Academy, where I'm going to personally work with you to build a profitable Excel consulting business with a consistent system for getting clients in 8 weeks. Now, you guys probably already know that if you really want to learn something, you get a coach or a mentor, right? If you want to get fit, you get a personal trainer. If you want to learn to play an instrument, you hire a music teacher. And if you want to start a new business, you work with a proven mentor. Basically, you find somebody who has already done the thing that you want to do, who has already gotten the result that you would like to get, and you get that person to walk you through it. So with that in mind, I've put together a full coaching program where I will personally work with you to create a thriving Excel consulting business completely from scratch. So here's what Excel Business Academy can do for you. It's going to get you new leads and customers whenever you want. It'll get you reliable income each month. Make it so that you don't have to bet your future on an unpredictable job market. It'll let you focus on the Excel work you enjoy. I mean, I don't know about you guys, but I like doing Excel. I like solving problems in Excel. I like presenting data. To me, this kind of thing is fun. And so when I can do this as a job and get paid for it, I'm pretty happy about that. It's going to let you work from home. It's going to let you be your own boss. It's going to let you set your own schedule. And it's going to let you work as much or as little as you want. There is so much flexibility in this business because you get to decide how many clients you want to take on. So the way I see it, there are 3 things that you're going to need to be successful. Number 1 is detailed yet simple to follow training. 2, coaching and personal support. And then the exact forms, scripts, keywords, and templates that I have used successfully and are still working to this day. So I'm going to include all of these things in the program. Now, there are 5 core components I'm going to list real quick, and then I'll go into detail about what each of them entails. Phase 1 is lay the groundwork. This is where you're going to actually set up your business. You're going to figure out what it is that you offer, who you offer it to, how to take payment, that kind of thing. Phase 2 is build the machine. This is where you're actually going to build your client getting machine. You're going to build your marketing process that brings clients in. Phase 3 is start the engines. This is where you're actually going to start advertising and start signing up clients. These 3 phases make up the core training, and then you're also going to get the community, which is a private group of people who support each other, and you're going to get the coaching, right? This is not one of those things where I say, hey, watch a bunch of videos and you're on your own, or, read some PDFs and you're on your own. No, I'm going to be actually walking you through every step of this. I'm going to be working with you every step of the way. So the community and the coaching make up the support system. Now, phase 1, lay the groundwork. What you're going to do here is you're going to learn to understand your customer. Where is your customer coming from? What does your customer want? And most importantly, how do you reach your customer? 2 is define your service offerings. What exactly is it that you're offering? And this is going to be a little bit different for everybody because everybody has different experience. You're going to set your deliverable and payment structure. And then you're going to, I'm just going to give you my quote, contract, and invoice forms. I'm just going to give you the ones that I'm already using, and you can erase my name and put yours. Right? And this part is super important because, like I said, when I started this, I did not get paid for my first client. And so I'm going to show you how you can avoid that happening to you because it's heartbreaking. Phase 2, build the machine. I'm going to show you how to create a demonstration of power that wows your prospects. I'm going to show you how to create a landing page that puts your lead collection on autopilot. I'm going to show you how to set it up and exactly what to say. I'm going to show you how to create that automatic email for added credibility. Again, how to set it up and what to say. I'm going to show you exactly what to say that gets viewers to become leads. And that's not obvious, because people are skeptical these days. People don't want to give out their email address and their phone number and get spammed a whole bunch, right? So you have to say the right words in order to get people's interest to override their skepticism. I'm going to show you exactly what to say to get leads to become clients. And I'm going to show you exactly how to set everything up even if you have no web design skills. I'm going to walk you through every part of this so you don't have to have any prior knowledge at all except for the Excel knowledge. And I'm going to show you how to turn everyday conversations into new business. Now, that's not the main part of the program, but if you could potentially get a new client every time anyone asks you what you do for a living, then that's free clients you don't have to pay ads for at all. So I'm going to tell you how to do that as well. Phase 3 is start the engines. I'm going to show you what to say in your ads to quickly get attention and get clicks. I'm going to show you how to quickly and easily record video ads that work. And you don't have to have any fancy equipment. You can record on your smartphone, right? I'm going to show you all of this. And by the way, recording an ad that works is pretty difficult. I mean, if you think about what do you normally do if you see an ad on YouTube? What do you normally do? Probably you hit that skip button as fast as you possibly can, right? So most of the people that are doing YouTube ads are throwing all of this money into it and getting nothing in return because everybody's just hitting skip. So it's it's something that took me a long time to learn, was how to write an ad that people actually respond to instead of skipping. I'm going to show you the exact keywords to target to reach your perfect clients. I'm going to show you how to set your ad budgets for full control of new leads. And basically, I'm just going to give you my full set it and forget it system, because you create this system once, and from then on, you don't really have to do anything with it. You just push the play button if you want the ads to run, and you push the pause button if you want them to stop running. And you set the budget if you want them to run more or to run less. Right? It's very simple once you actually get it all started. Now, the community is a private members-only Facebook group where you can ask questions and get support both from other people and from me. I'm very active in the community. You'll get accountability, and we also do lead sharing. So let's say that you get a lead from somebody, or you get a lead that asks for something that you're not quite sure how to do. You can just go into the community and say, hey, I have this lead for a person who wants this thing. Who wants it? Like, is there anybody who's qualified to do that? And then when somebody else has the same problem, they can give the lead to you, right? And I actually give leads fairly often in the community. I've been running some experiments with ads these days, and I've been getting leads that I just don't have time to take. So I've been just giving them for free to people in the Facebook group. And in fact, one of my students, Roland, before the program even started, already signed up his first client. He says, look what he says here. He says, also concerning the previous lead for David, I'm going to get that done today. He's ready to give me his credit card number, but I'm not fixed up yet to take credit cards. How can we best handle this? So he's got a client who's ready to pay him, who has credit card in hand, but he doesn't know how to take payments yet because the program hasn't even started. I'm going to show him how to do this in the program, but it hadn't even started to this point. So I had to show him how to take credit cards. And then Lauren, another guy in the group who I gave a lead, just in the group because it was too much for me to take at the time. He says, hey Chris, I talked with her and it seems to be just an input form with a couple of pivot charts. I sent a quote for 3 to 5 hours and she signed it. So Lauren has already got his first client, and this is in the first week of the program. And by the way, it says 3 to 5 hours. That's kind of how they often go. Usually you start with a small quote, and then the projects get bigger and bigger. So you do what the client asks for, and then they come back and say, oh, I had this other idea. Can you add this thing? And then you do that, and then they say later, I have this new idea. Can you do this thing? And the project just gets bigger and bigger and bigger, right? I mean, you guys probably encounter this all the time in your jobs, but in this case, when a project gets bigger, it means you get paid more. So anyway, that's the community. The coaching, it's going to be weekly live training for 6 weeks. I'm going to be actually talking to you live over Zoom for the first 6 weeks, and then the last 2 weeks are going to be live support. So these are just open calls where you can bring me anything. You can show me your landing page and have me review it, or I can go over your ads, or if you have any questions about anything, I'm completely free for the last 2 weeks. And during the first 6 weeks, for that matter, after the lesson, you can ask me anything that you want. So you're going to get a lot of direct access to me, both through the lessons and through the group. You can ask me questions in the group. So here's a quick recap of everything that you're going to get with this offer. Phase 1, lay the groundwork. This is where you build the details of your company. Phase 2 is build the machine. This is where you create the client getting system. And phase 3 is start the engines. This is where you are going to start your advertising and actually start signing up clients. That's the core training. And then you're going to get the community, the exclusive Facebook group, and you're going to get the coaching. You're going to get live coaching from me. Again, this is not something where you watch a bunch of videos and you're on your own. No, I'm going to be actually helping you. I'm going to be working through you on this. So let me ask you, if you did this business for several years, let's say, and you get 500 clients at $1,500 per client, that's $750,000. If you get 100 clients, that's $150,000. If you only get 10 clients, only 10 over the entire lifetime of this business, that's still $15,000. And you got to take off a little bit for ad costs, right? So what was it, like $400 for ad costs? So almost $15,000. So what if I told you that you could get full access to Excel Business Academy live for just $29.95? That's the price of just 2 clients. $29.95. If all this did was make you an extra $3,000 a month in side income, would it be worth $29.95? If all this did was give you the ability to skip the traffic jams and work from home, would that be worth $29.95? If all this did was give you the freedom to wake up when you want and to set your own schedule, would that be worth $29.95? If all this did was let you take a couple extra vacations every year, would it be worth $29.95? I think so. So the investment into Excel Business Academy is $29.95. However, since this program is brand new, really it's brand new, I'm going to offer you a special deal. If you agree to these terms, if you agree that when you get your first client and your first client payment, you let me know in the Facebook group and let me use your post as a testimonial, that is, you tell me about your client or you tell me about your payment and you let me screenshot that and use that in the future in my marketing, then I'll offer a pretty hefty discount on this price. Is that something that you guys would be willing to do? Write deal in the chat if you'd be willing to do that in return for a hefty discount. Leah says deal. Ross says deal. Lakota says deal. Josh says deal. John says deal. Okay. If you guys are willing to agree to those terms, if you're willing to give me those posts that I can use as screenshots, you can secure your seat now for $14.95. Go to www.chrisshoup.com/8weeks and you can get in for just one payment of $14.95. Now, I'm only taking 15 people. Again, I told you this was a live coaching course. This is not something where you just watch a bunch of videos. This is live, and I want to be able to give everybody personalized attention, so I'm limiting the course to just 15 people. So if you see an order form, when you go to this website, www.chrisshoup.com, that's my name by the way, /8weeks, if you see an order form, that means that there's still spots left. If it's already filled up, you'll see this page that says, sorry, this program is currently sold out. Now, for the 15 people who get into the program, you're also going to get these bonuses. Bonus 1 is the quick win method for getting your first 1 to 3 clients. In this bonus, I'm going to give you the exact scripts and method to leverage your existing contacts so they refer you your first 1 to 3 clients. So if you'd like to recoup your investment fast, and you don't want to wait a whole 6 weeks or 8 weeks to learn the entire program, right? You don't have to wait until you have the whole system set up. I'm going to show you a quick win method to get those first few clients that's going to leverage your existing contacts. I'm going to give you the exact scripts that you can use, and this is only going to work once or once in a while, right? So this is not a replacement for the method that I'm going to show you, but it's a way to get a few clients fast so you can make that money back fast. This is worth $1,500 to $4,500 just by itself. Bonus 2 is the advanced scaling strategy. In this bonus, I'm going to show you how to scale your business so that you're not doing all the work yourself and you don't have a ceiling on your income. What you're going to find if you do this business for a while is eventually you get to the point where you are kind of overwhelmed. You have a lot of work to do, you have a lot of work on your plate, and you only have so much time in a day. At a certain point, you can't take on any more clients. You just don't have the time. So you kind of have a ceiling on your income. Right? You have a ceiling on how many clients you can take. So I created this advanced scaling strategy to show you how you can outsource a bunch of the actual Excel work, how you can find freelancers who will work for a fraction of the cost that you're getting paid and will take on most of the work for you. I'm going to show you how to find freelancers that are actually good, which is difficult, but I've come up with a method to do it. I'm going to actually send you some of the freelancers that I've worked with in the past that work very well for a small fraction of the price. I get paid $100 an hour, and I pay out $15 to $20 an hour to my freelancers, right? And the rest is just pure profit. And then I'm also going to show you how to set this system up so that you don't have to supervise it so much, so that your freelancer isn't coming to you with questions every 5 minutes. So that's the second bonus. And the third bonus I'm going to offer, if you get in today, is Excel for Consulting Mastery. In this bonus, I'm going to show you exactly what are the most important Excel skills to know to serve your clients and give you a complete curriculum to learn them. So what I did here is I just went through a whole bunch of my projects that I've done in the past, and I listed every single skill that I have used in order to create those projects. The formulas that I've used, buttons that I've used, pivot tables, charts, everything like that. I went in and listed every single one, and then I put it into a parallel 8-week program. So the way that I've structured this coaching program, the main program that I'm talking about here, is I made it with busy professionals in mind. So if you're working full-time already, maybe you got a family, you only have a few hours a week that you can devote to this, then that's going to be enough, right? I made it so that it's only a few hours a week that you have to put into this. And so the Excel for Consulting Mastery is a parallel 8-week program where you can pick and choose what you need to learn, because chances are you already know a lot of it, but it's a parallel 8-week program. So while you are building your business in the same 8 weeks, you can also be filling in your Excel knowledge. So if you are kind of nervous that you don't know Excel well enough, for one thing, I really recommend that you just jump in, because you kind of have to at some point. Use your discernment, right? If you're a beginner, then don't do this. But at some point, you just have to jump in and learn along the way. But again, I want to give you as much peace of mind as possible, so I've added this bonus, the Excel for Consulting Mastery, so you can fill in all of the skills that I have found useful in my 7 years doing this business. So here's a recap of everything that you're going to get. Phase 1, lay the groundwork. This is where you build your business, you define your service, you figure out how you're going to take payment, all of that. Phase 2 is build the machine. This is where you are going to create your client getting system. Phase 3 is start the engines. This is where you turn on the advertising and you start signing up clients. You're going to get the community, that's the private group, the coaching. I'm going to be walking you through every step of this and working with you and reviewing your ads and reviewing your landing pages and reviewing everything that you have. You're going to get the first bonus, the quick win method, to get your first 1 to 3 clients. You're going to get the second bonus, the advanced sourcing strategies, and you're going to get the third bonus, Excel for Consulting Mastery, for a total value of $15,000. Now, Excel Business Academy is for you if you want to be your own boss and have the freedom to set your own schedule. This is just about the most flexible business you could possibly have. I mean, you do have to take client meetings every once in a while, right? But you can schedule them at the times that are convenient for you, and then you can actually do the projects whenever you want. So if you feel like doing it in the morning, you can do it in the morning. If you feel like doing it at 3 a.m., then you can do it then too. Like, it's completely up to you. This is great for you if you want to be able to work from anywhere. It's also good for you if you like your job, but you just want to make some extra side income. You don't have to quit your job to do this business. You can set the amount of clients that you want. So if you want just extra side income, it's great. It's perfect for you if you'd like to semi-retire and work part-time on your own terms. You know, I talk to a lot of folks who are kind of approaching retirement age, and they're getting pushed out of their jobs. Like, their companies are saying, you got to go. You have to retire. And then if they try to find another job, then they're facing employment discrimination. Like, they can't get somebody to hire them. Well, this business is perfect for somebody in that situation because they're not hiring you permanent anyway, right? So they don't care if you're about to retire. And, you know, if you don't want to work full-time hours, if you'd like to kind of semi-retire, then it's perfect because you can take as many clients as you want. It's perfect for you if you don't want to gamble your future on an unpredictable job market. It's perfect for you if you've tried freelancing before but had a hard time getting high-paying clients, or even if you're completely new to freelance work. I'm going to show you every step of setting up this business. So even if you've never done this before, it'll work for you. And it'll work for you even if you're an experienced freelancer but want an easier and more reliable way to get new business. Excel Business Academy is perfect for data analysts, accountants, IT consultants, programmers, database administrators, marketing analysts, financial analysts, business intelligence, actuaries, and basically anybody who uses Excel in their career. So if you want to get in on this, if you would like this offer before it fills up, go to www.chrisshoup.com/8weeks. Secure your seat now for just one payment of $14.95. Again, I can only take 15 people. I'm not sure how many people are in the program already. I have to go and figure that out. But yeah, $14.95. Now, for those of you who would like to have everything that we discussed done for you, I have a second option just for you. Option number 2, I call it the Business in a Box package. If you want a business that's just plug and play, that I just give it to you and you start getting clients, and you don't have to worry about setting up ads and landing pages and all that, I've got you covered too. For this option, for the Business in a Box package, you're going to get everything that we already talked about. All of the coaching, all of the bonuses, everything. You're going to get 2 complete video ads. I'm going to write, record, and edit for you. I'm going to create beginning to end. And actually, you have a choice about the recording. Either I can record them for you as your spokesperson, or you can record them yourself. I can write the scripts for you and you can record them yourself. Your choice. But I'm going to do 2 of them. I'm going to do the setup, the targeting, and split test for both ads. Split test means that I'm going to run the 2 ads in parallel and choose the one that performs better. Choose the one that gets the cheaper leads. I'm going to create a fully functioning landing page and thank you page. I'm going to create the automatic email. I'm going to write it and set it up. And I'm going to set up your new lead notification so that you get a notification every time somebody fills out your opt-in form. Because the faster that you can get back to that person, the more likely they are to become a client. And I'm going to do the complete conversion tracking and analytics. I'm going to set up all of that so you can see exactly how your system is performing at any moment. So basically, I'm just taking all of the guesswork out of this and just giving you so you don't have to really do any work setting this up at all. I'm just going to give it to you. I'm going to do it all for you. So the price for this package, Business in the Box, is $34.95. Same website, www.chrisshoup.com/8weeks. When you go to that website, this is what you're going to see. You're going to see a quick description of the course here. You're going to enter your billing details here. You're going to enter your payment details. Scroll down here, and then you have the choice between Excel Business Academy, this is the base package, or the Business in a Box option. So just click on whichever one is best for you, hit Submit Payment, and then you'll go to a screen that looks like this. It says, congratulations, you're enrolled in the program. So if that's of interest to you, you can secure your seat now for $14.95. Go to chrisshoup.com/8 weeks or $34.95 for the Business in a Box package. And by the way, I chose this price intentionally, the $14.95. $14.95 is the price of one client minus $5, right? So after your first client, you're fully paid off, plus you have $5 left over to buy yourself a beer. So you can reward yourself for a job well done, because getting a client means that you have a business, right? It means that you are in business, and that's something to celebrate. And you should absolutely celebrate your victories, because like I said, the biggest obstacles are the ones that are within your own head. And when you can reinforce good things that you've done, when you reinforce your victories, that's very helpful in the future. So go to www.chrisshoup.com/8 weeks and get in now if there's still spots, which I still have to check. And I'm going to go ahead and take questions. So if you've got questions, then let me know in the chat box here. And I'm going to go take a look at who I have to congratulate, and then I will get back to questions in just a second. Congratulations to Ross, you are in. Welcome, sir. Congratulations to Kathy, you are in. Congratulations to Scott, you are in. This is taking a little while to load these names, that's why I'm taking time. Congratulations, Pat, you are in. And let me go back to the questions here. I'll get back to that later. So, let's see. Anita says, did you say payment in full is required? I do have a payment plan option that is 3 payments of $5.95. So I can give you the link to that if you're interested. Donna says, if you cannot do it now, will it be available at another time? Good question, Donna. I don't know yet. The answer is I don't know yet. This is the first time that I've done this, actually. So that's why I'm giving this discount price, by the way. Basically the cost of just one client and why I'm doing this so intensively working with you, right? Is that I want to give everybody as much support as I possibly can, because you guys are going to be my success stories, and you guys are I'm gonna put my full attention on you guys, and then I will decide whether or not I want to do this program in the future after that. Daniel says, who are these freelancers working for $15 an hour? They're not in the US. Just suffice to say that. Saloni says, what sorts of Excel projects have you done? Good question. I've done quite a lot of different projects. I find, everybody needs Excel, and there's a whole bunch of different industries that ask me for projects, but the ones that I get most often are people want dashboards. Like, people like dashboards where they can see charts of their data and get an idea of how their business is doing. And another thing is just kind of data organization. So you'd be amazed how many companies are out there that are basically running their whole business from a big ugly spreadsheet with a bunch of different colors all over it, and it looks terrible. And eventually they get to a point where they're like, okay, this doesn't work anymore. I need help. I need to hire somebody. So I'll create something that's a little bit more organized for keeping track of their sales or their customers or their transactions or whatever. That's better than their big ugly spreadsheet. Good question. Adebayo says, how do you come up with a valuation of $1,500 per client? Good question. That is just a pretty conservative average from my 7 years doing this, right? And it's a big range, right? I get some people that have a really small project and they pay me $300. And other people that just keep coming back and back and back over and over again. I think my best client is now over $20,000, right? So it's this massive range. So the 1,500, that's just a conservative estimate of average client value. Nathan says, when are trainings? I have a family and a full-time job. Good question. Trainings are going to be on Thursdays, starting this Thursday at 8 p.m. Eastern, which is 5 p.m. Pacific. And if you can't make a training, I'm going to have a recording of every single one. So, you're going to get a whole bunch of resources. I'm going to give you the recording. I'm going to give you all of the notes. I'm going to give you next actions, right? I'm going to lay out exactly what are the things that you need to do for each week. I'm going to give you templates. I'm going to give you lists of keywords. Like everything you need, I'm going to give you. And so if you can't make a training, you can always just watch the recording. So good question. And even if you want to ask me a question but you can't make the training, then just send me the question in the email and I'll answer it. Either I'll just answer your email if it's a short answer, or if it's a complicated answer, then I will answer it on the training and you can watch it on the recording. Oh, good question. LaRonda says, how do you set your hourly price starting out? Good question. And I'm going to go into this in detail in the course, but the main thing is just to charge what you're comfortable with, right? I've charged a variety of different prices over the time that I've been doing this, but the main thing is charge what you're comfortable with, what will make you a good income, and you're not shaking in your boots when you're asking the client to pay you that, right? Because if you're not confident asking for it, then that's going to reflect badly on you and you're going to have a hard time. So start with what you're comfortable with. And the beauty of this is, you as a business owner, you can change your price anytime you want. So if you want to be conservative at the beginning and set your price kind of low, maybe only set your price at $60 an hour. And then you do it for a little while and you get a feel for whether or not clients like that, and then you can raise your price, etc. I'm going to go into that in detail in the course, but good question. Donald says, I won't be ready until after the first of the new year. Will there be another class then? I'm not sure. The answer is I don't know. Possibly, but time will tell. If you would like to... if you would like to keep in contact with me, feel free to take down my email address. I'll just give you my email address here. It's Chris at dominatethemarketplace.net. Just if you want to send me an email when you're free, then we can talk about it, but I don't know as of now. Saloni says, which functionality of Excel is sought after? Pivot charts, dashboards, macros, etc. Good question. The truth is, none of them. The truth is, the client doesn't care. The client wants something like, he wants to see how many sales he's made this month compared to last month. And whether you present that using a pivot chart or using a macro or using Power Pivot or Access or Tableau or whatever it is, it really doesn't matter. The client just wants to be able to see that information, just wants to be able to make decisions. So, the more, if you can do those things, then that's wonderful, right? There's a lot of different ways to get the client the result that he's looking for, but it's really nobody's going to ask you. Nobody's going to say, hey, I'd like you to make a pivot chart with this macro that updates it automatically. That's going to be kind of up to you to decide what's the best way to go about giving the client what he wants. So I hope that answers your question. Leah says, I'm just wondering if you brushed up on your Excel skills before starting, like made sure you had a more streamlined approach to building a spreadsheet. Good question. No, not really. I just kind of jumped in and figured it out as I went along, which is kind of the story of my career. That even when I was working in jobs, I have a college degree in economics. I didn't learn the first thing about being a data analyst when I was going to school. I just kind of figured it out as I went along, and so that's what I did in the business as well. And yeah, so my Excel skills were decent at the beginning, and as I kept doing it more and more, I got better and better. Daniel says, what is the schedule of the course if I work full-time and have family to look after? How flexible is it? I think I already went over that. It's on a set schedule, right? Because it's a group of 15 people. But yeah, you can. I mean, if you have to miss a training, you can always watch the recording, or you can always ask me if you have any questions. Office Coach says, what percentage of your clients require VBA knowledge with their Excel projects? Again, this is something that nobody asks for it, really. A few people ask for it, but most people don't ask for it. They ask for a specific result. They ask for a dashboard, or they ask for, sometimes they get something more complicated. They want something that can import a file that is exported from another program like QuickBooks or something. And so oftentimes I will use VBA, but they don't ask for the VBA. It's me saying, okay, VBA is the best way to do this. I hope that makes sense. Slingshot says, can this system be applied to anything other than Excel? Yes. Yes, somewhat. What I've done, it can definitely be applied to things that are very similar to Excel. So, for example, some of my clients, I tell them, they come to me asking for Excel, but I tell them, based on what you told me about your project, I think that you could do a better job, you could get a better result if we created something in Access. And, it's up to them to say they want to do that or not. So the more tools you have in your toolbox, the better you can suggest things for your clients. And so, yeah, you could do it in other things. There's some people I get ask for Google Sheets, which I don't know the first thing about Google Sheets. So whenever I get anybody that asks me to do something in Google Sheets, I give that lead to the group. So, yeah, you can do it with other programs. I hope that's a good enough answer for you. Donna says, if payments are in 3, what is the payment schedule? It is once a month. So you'll pay, it's $5.95 now, $5.95 1 month from now, and $5.95 2 months from now. Anita says, do you find clients prefer to stay away from VBA because they're not willing to allow macros in their organization? No, I've never found that at all. I think people are pretty okay with macros. I mean, I don't think people are afraid of macros, really. And some people never heard of macros, and if not, then they think it's the most amazing thing in the world. and some people know about macros, and they're already comfortable with them. So no, I've never run into that before. Not saying it won't happen, because your business is going to be different than mine. You'd get some strange people every once in a while. Ross says, do you ever have customers that break the Excel tool you create and come back looking for repairs? Yes. Yes, that happens. More than I'd like to admit. Yeah, and sometimes it's the customer's fault, and sometimes it's my fault. I admit it. I make mistakes sometimes, and I have to come back and look for repairs. And it's whether or not you charge for those repairs kind of depends on the situation. So if it was something that I neglected, something stupid that I did, then I don't charge them. But if it's something that they messed up, which they do all the time, right? Like if you have something that's looking for a particular column and then they insert a column, then they come back and ask for repairs, and I charge them for that. Good question. Adebayo says, do you do Smartsheet too? At the risk of looking totally stupid, I've never heard of Smartsheet. I don't know what that is. But again, whatever tools you have in your toolbox, that's something that you can use to help your clients. So, and probably a lot of you guys who are on this presentation are better at Excel than me, right? Probably a lot of you guys know softwares that I don't know, or things in Excel that I don't know. It's a lot of it is, marketing. This is a program that's about marketing. If I was to ask you guys, what is the best hamburger that you've ever had? How many of you guys would say McDonald's? Probably none, right? And yet, McDonald's is the most successful hamburger company in the history of the world, right? Because it's not the quality of their product, it's because they're good at marketing, right? So, that probably some of you guys are a lot better than have a better product than I do, but the marketing really makes a big difference. Rick says, do you have clients ask for Tableau projects? No, I've never had clients ask for that, and I've done Tableau projects when I was working as a data analyst, but I've never had people ask that. Most of the clients are small to middle-sized businesses, or smaller businesses usually, and usually they, for one thing, probably don't even know that Tableau exists, and two, probably don't want to have to learn some other software that they've never used before. Usually they come to you with Excel and say, hey, I want this done in Excel. Now, that doesn't mean that you as a consultant can't say, I think that you would do better if you use Tableau. You could absolutely do that, and that depends on the business and whether it's in their budget or whatnot. But yeah, you could absolutely offer that as a suggestion. Saloni says, and I hope I'm pronouncing your name right, says, last one, can you share a link to the video with your portfolio, please? I don't have that available right like on the tip of my fingertips, but in the program, I'm absolutely going to share that with you. Anita says, I've worked for companies that won't allow VBA macros for security reasons. Hopefully it's not a Canadian thing. I have no idea. That's interesting. I can imagine that, but geez, I've worked for healthcare companies and I've worked for banks, which are like the most tightly regulated companies, and they never had a problem with that. And I've worked for a few Canadian clients, and they've never had a problem with that either. So maybe it's just your company that's strange. Laranda says, no, my hospital doesn't allow macros. Oh. Sure enough, so at least two companies. Slingshot says, I'm a hybrid. I equally know Excel and Google Sheets. A lot of small and mid-sized companies, because of Google Suites, are using Sheets now. Yeah, absolutely. In my experience, I market myself as the Excel guy. So probably people that use Google Sheets just don't talk to me very often. But I do get a few people who ask for Google Sheets. So if you can do that, then you have a special niche that I'm not even hitting. So that's awesome. And you can actually expand your ad targeting even more. If you know both, then that's amazing. Saloni says, sure, thanks a lot. You're very welcome. Donna says, where can I sign up? I can do that much better. Oh, you mean the payment plan. Let me type it in for you here. PMT. Okay. And let me go to that link real quick just to make sure that I typed that correctly. No, that didn't work. Uh-oh. Embarrassing myself here. PMT. Why did that not work? Oh, now it worked. Oh, I don't know what happened. Okay, yeah, there's that link. Daniel says, where are your clients from? Good question, Daniel. That depends entirely on where you target your advertising. You get to choose exactly where you want to target your advertising. You could choose just your local area if you want. You could choose your country, or you could choose the whole world, or you could specify certain countries. For me, I do all of US and Canada. Just because, you know, the US and Canada, I know they can afford my services, and they're within a similar time zone as me. You know, if I wanted to expand, I could expand to Australia and the UK, you know, if I wanted to. And you can even set specific times for your ad to show if you want to, but I mean, I'm doing just fine with US and Canada, so I'm just leaving it there. And that's all the questions I see here. If you got questions, go ahead and write them in. I'm in no hurry here, right? I can stay as long as you got questions. I can answer them. And by the way, if you're thinking that you know, this sounds great, but you could just, you know, figure this out all yourself, well, you absolutely can. I'm not going to tell you can't, right? I figured this out myself, and you're all smart people, right? If you know Excel to a high level, then you're a pretty smart person. Just, you know, that's a fact. You can figure this out, absolutely. And because I gave you the outline of how to do this, you can probably figure it out in less than the 6 years that it took me. But a thing to consider, though, is if you try to do this all by trial and error, when you're doing things by trying to figure out something by trial and error with paid ads, it gets expensive really quick, right? Because you have to try ads until they work, and it's not easy to do. This is something that's a skill. It took me a long time to develop. It's a skill, just like Excel is a skill. And so whenever you write an ad and it doesn't work, you're having to pay for that ad. And then you write another ad, and that doesn't work, and you're having to pay for that ad. It gets really expensive. It adds up after a while. And you guys probably know that if you see an ad on YouTube, what do you normally do? Probably 99% of the time you hit skip as fast as you can, right? So it's difficult to write an ad that works. But the fact that you're on this presentation, by the way, is proof that my advertising method works. You might have noticed that the system that I used to get people on this presentation is almost exactly the same system as I use for my Excel business, the one that I showed you, right? You saw an ad either on YouTube or on Facebook. And again, if you see an ad on YouTube, normally you hit skip. If you see an ad on Facebook, normally you scroll past as fast as you can. But you actually read mine, or you watched mine on YouTube, because I managed to jump out to you. And I got your interest enough that you clicked on the ad. And then you were willing to give me your email address, and some of you even your phone number, right? I mean, probably you guys don't give out your email and phone number to random strangers on the internet very often. And then here you are, it's more than an hour and a half into this presentation. Your time is valuable. You're not here just for fun, right? You're here because you want to gain something from this. So the fact that you're still here shows that this process works. And the only difference between this process and the process that I showed you for the Excel business is that in this process, I'm using an online presentation on YouTube Live, whereas in the Excel process, you'll be doing a sales call. But other than that, it's the same process. Okay, so Daniel Vergara says, how many hours is the program? Well, the program is, the coaching, it's going to be 1 hour for every week for 8 weeks. And then the actual work that you have to do to set up everything is going to be about 5 hours a week. That's what I targeted. And some weeks are going to be a little more, some weeks are going to be a little less, but about 5 hours a week. I tried to make it a pretty relaxed workload so that people that are busy, that have a family and have a full-time job can do this. And also, even if you fall behind, because there are 6 weeks of teaching, even if you fall behind a little bit, you have 2 extra weeks at the end, right, where I'm still going to be there to support you. So if you fall behind a little bit, you can catch up for the last 2 weeks. Brian says, do you have an LLC? No, I don't, Brian. And maybe that's silly of me. Maybe I should have an LLC. But it's just never really been an issue. I mean, in the US, an LLC is taxed the same as a sole proprietor, and I'm really not worried about getting sued. I don't see myself having any liability, so I never bothered to do that. I just work as a sole proprietor. Rick says, any thoughts on how someone can learn Excel on an advanced level? Sure, yeah. I mean, there's just gazillions of resources online these days. You search Excel tutorial in Google or in YouTube, you'll get a million things. If you sign up for this program, you're going to get that Excel for Consulting Mastery bonus, which is going to lay out every little skill that you need in order to do this business to a high level. There's a site called udemy.com, which has courses that you can do that kind of thing for a pretty low price. There's lots of ways. And the main thing that I would say, though, is that you want to practice along the way. You don't want to just read or just watch videos, because that's kind of going to go in one ear and out the other. You want to actually practice what you're learning. No, I hope that's helpful. Slingshot says, if the company that pays you does not give you a 1099, you don't have to pay taxes or even report it for that matter. I'm not sure if I'm allowed to confirm or deny that, but suffice to say that if they don't give you a 1099, which, hint, hint, most companies don't, then you have no record with the IRS. And for all you Canadians that have no idea what we're talking about, this is tax stuff, tax law. Any more questions, go ahead and put them in the chat here. Again, I'm in no hurry here. And by the way I structured this program is to... I structured it not only to teach you the knowledge, but to support the psychological element of this as well. Because whenever you're jumping into something new, for most people, there's a lot of uncertainty. There's a lot of feeling like maybe I'm not good enough. And in fact, it's so common that psychologists gave it a name. They call it imposter syndrome. Feel like you're not good enough to be doing it. You're probably going to have to fight this every step of the way. And so I created this program in such a way that to support you with that, so to minimize that as much as I possibly can. Right, so there's a lot of accountability, for one thing, built into this course. The fact that it's on a set schedule and every single week is a group training means that you're accountable, that I'm going to notice if you're not there for 1 week, right? And it's a very small group, too, so I'm going to notice if you're not there. I have it so that I am, just the fact that you have to invest in the first place, right? You have to pay for the course. That's when you invest in something, then you're dedicated to it, right? If you think about when you've invested in something in the past, once you've made that investment, either you succeed or else you just wasted all that money, right? So you have this big emotional connection to it where you have to keep with it and you have to stay on it and you have to succeed. So the investment's really helpful for that too. And then also I'm going to take all of the guesswork out of it. right? Everything that I can possibly, all of the uncertainty that I can possibly take out of it, right? So I'm gonna give you my sales script. I'm gonna tell you what to say on sales calls. I'm gonna tell you what to say in the ads. I'm gonna tell you how to record the ads. I'm gonna tell you what to say on your landing page. Like everything, I'm gonna give you the exact details so that if you're feeling lack of confidence or if you're afraid that it's not gonna work, it doesn't really matter. You just have to follow the process. Right? There's very, very little uncertainty, and I've tried to create the course to absolutely minimize uncertainty in every possible way that I can. So, Slingshot says, thanks, Chris. You're very welcome. Rick says, how do the companies pay you? Check, credit card, etc. Good question. I make it as easy for them to pay me as possible. So, if they want to pay by check, I take a check. If they want to pay by credit card, I take credit card. If they want to pay me Bitcoin, I take Bitcoin. Basically, like whatever they want to pay, I'll take it. Anita says, I like that. Imposter syndrome, not us. Yeah. Yeah, I've had, like everything I've ever tried to do, I've had imposter syndrome. And so eventually, even when I was a kid, you know, I remember I was 17 when I had my first job at a grocery store, and I just had, every single day I was afraid I was going to get fired. Like I had this feeling that I was the only cashier that wasn't any good, and that they were going to figure it out, and then they were going to fire me, and it was going to be horrible. Like, so even back then, and it you know, every time I did something new, it always took me some time to get used to it, to finally beat it into my head that, hey, I am actually good enough, that I'm okay at this. I'm not gonna, you know, I'm not gonna fail. So, you know, if that's something you guys feel, then I'm right there with you. I'm probably the worst at that. So any more questions, go ahead and ask me. I see there's still people on the presentation, so as long as you got questions, I will keep hanging out with you here. And if you're hesitating, by the way, if you're, you know, I hear from people fairly often, they say, okay, this sounds great. It sounds like exactly the right opportunity for me. I'm going to think about it. And, you know, if this is not the right opportunity for you, I want to get this out of the way. If this is not the right opportunity for you, then don't do it. Like, I'm not going to spend a second of my time trying to convince you to get into this if it's not the right opportunity for you. But if it is the right opportunity for you and you're hesitating, you're saying, I'm going to think about it, I'm going to keep it on my radar, right? How does that normally work, right? You're presented with a lot of people go through their lives this way. They're presented with an opportunity and they say, okay, that sounds great, I'll think about it. And so they think about it, and then they think about it some more, and then they forget about it, and then it's gone. The opportunity flies away. And then maybe a year or two later, they get another opportunity presents itself, and they say, okay, that sounds good, I'll think about it. Then they think about it, and then they forget about it, and the opportunity goes away. And then 40 years later, they've gone their entire life this way, and they're on their deathbed with a whole bunch of regrets because they never jumped on anything. They had all these opportunities presented to them, and they never went for any of them because, you know, they just hesitated every single time until it was gone. So again, if this is not the opportunity for you, then I'm not going to try to convince you. But if it is and you're hesitating, I would just humbly submit that maybe this is the time that you should jump on it instead of thinking about it until it goes away. Well, I'm not seeing any more questions. It's 9:49. Let me go see if there's still spots left real quick. takes me way too long to figure out to pull up the names of everybody, but I can see how many I've got enrolled here. It's 13. Okay, I've got 13, so I got 2 spots left. 2 spots left as of now. So go to www.chrisshoop.com/8weeks if you like to get in. There are 2 spots left. If you go to that website and you see an order form, that means that there are spots left. If it has been filled, then you'll see a page that's saying that says that there are no spots left. Daniel says, how much money should I invest to set the system? Well, you don't really have to set very much at all. You have to pay for a software that'll create the pages for you, and that's $100 a month, but you can get 30 days free. So, really, you don't have to pay anything for 30 days. Or actually, I think it's $1 now. Now it's $1 instead of a free trial. So you pay $1 plus just pay however much you want on the ads. And you have to pay for domain name, right? So that's like $20. So $21 plus whatever you want to put into ads. So if you want 1 client, put $40. So that's what, $61 to get your first client. Anita says, suggestions for getting the first client so we can pay the $14.95. It's the chicken and egg here. I've been out of work since the spring and also would be converting US to Canadian. That's a good question. I would say, okay, here's what I would say. And actually, I kind of included this in the program, is that quick win method to get your first 1 to 3 clients. And so I don't want to give that all away, but what you can do is come up with a business name and get some business cards printed. You can get some business cards printed for like $10, and with your business name and your phone number, and just talk to people that you know and ask them if they could use some help with Excel. Chances are somebody that you know wants some help with Excel. And you don't have to spam them, just talk to them about it once. Hand them a business card if you can see them in person, or if not, send them an email. And probably you could get a client that way. So I hope that's helpful. You're welcome, Anita. Any more questions, go ahead and lay them on me, or else, let's say I'm going to wait till 9:58, let's say, give you 5 minutes. If I don't get any more questions, then I'm going to go ahead and eat some dinner, because I'm getting hungry. I'm going to take off this jacket. It's getting hot. My wife suggested I wear the jacket because it makes me look professional. Anita says, what time of the day do you run the live components? Right now, for this coming session, which starts this week actually, it's going to be 8 p.m. Eastern Time, which is 5 p.m. Pacific Time, or 6 Mountain, or 7 Central. And by the way, anybody who's watching this on the recording, the same goes for you. If you go to this website and you see a order form, that means that there's still spots left. If you see, if there are no spots left, then you'll see a message that tells you there are no spots left. Jose said that's a dangerous question to ask. Oh, I missed a few comments in there, didn't I? Yeah, Jose said that's a dangerous question to ask about the taxes. Yep, yeah, for sure. Even more dangerous question to answer. Slingshot says, I've been getting paid from companies for years doing Google 360 shoots, and I never had a tax issue. I'll be signing up. Awesome. Glad to have you, sir. Or ma'am. I guess I don't know. Jose says, what happens to the clients that you don't have time to help? Good question. Those I give away to the group. Really, I just gave away one today, actually. So that's why I have students that are already getting clients, even though the course even before the course even started. Right? Because I like to mess with the ads, right? I found ads that work, but I'm always trying to find ads that work better. And so even if I have all the clients that I can take, I'm still running ads because I just want to see if I can make the ads work better. And then when I get clients that I can't take, then I give them away to the people in the group. Let's see. Miss anything else in here? Okay, no, I don't think I missed anything else. Okay, 2 more minutes here. If you got a question, now's the time. Anita says, when starting out, how do you estimate time required to complete a project? That's a good question. That's something that it's kind of a guess. I give a range. I don't give a specific number. I don't say this is going to be 10 hours. I'll say this is going to be 8 to 12 hours. I try to guess a little bit higher than what I think it actually is. I guess a little bit higher than I think it actually is. So if I say it's going to be 8 to 12 hours, then probably the client is budgeting in his head for 12 hours. And then if I come back with actually get it done in 7 hours or in 8 hours, then the client's pretty happy. And so I try to, I try to make everybody satisfied. So I want to, what do they say? Under promise and over deliver. And then if it's a really big project, which you get sometimes, then I chunk it into pieces. I don't quote them for the whole project. I kind of give them a vague idea. I'll say, okay, that's a big project. That's probably going to be 30 to 50 hours. But it's hard for me to give you an accurate number on that. So let's take the core fundamental piece of that project, and that's gonna be about 10 to 12 hours. And then from that part, then we can pick and choose what we want to add on from there. That usually works out pretty well. Anita says, do you always add a buffer amount of time? Yeah, that's kind of what I said. I under promise. What is it? Under promise and over deliver. That's what I go by. And sometimes too, I'll underestimate something. I'll think something's a little bit easier than it actually is. And then again, it's kind of something that's up to your discretion. So if I say that it's going to be 10 hours and I end up spending 15 hours, then I probably won't bill the whole 15 hours, right? I'll just kind of eat a chunk of that and it won't bill for the last 5 hours. Or maybe I'll go a little bit over, like, if I gave a range like 8 to 12 hours and it ends up being 15, then I'll bill for 12 hours and, just do the last 3 hours for free, just because it's kind of my mistake. I failed to set expectations properly. But it's completely up to your discretion. Okay, well, it is 9:59, so if there are no other questions, I'm going to go ahead and sign off here. Thank you guys for being on here. Whether you choose to join the program or not, I really appreciate your time. I appreciate you being here. I hope you found this helpful. Again, if you decide you want to join the program, chrisshoup.com/8weeks. If there's an order form, then it's still available. And so thank you. If you want more free stuff, then feel free to subscribe to me on YouTube. I would appreciate that. And Jose says, thank you. You are very welcome, Jose. Anita says, thank you. Brian says, congrats on the business. Thank you very much, sir. Cool. So you guys all have an awesome night, and I will talk to you all later.